for people who are, in 9 to 5 looking to build a personal brand, leave the corporate shenanigans and be your authentic self.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I speak with my friend who works in communication and we talk about building a personal brand in 2023. I feel like building personal brand is one of the best things you can do for yourself, whether you work in a 9 to 5, whether you're an entrepreneur. It has amazing ROI. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get into this conversation. My first question is this. If you're building a personal brand in a corporate organization, let's say you work in a corporate organization, like how would you go about building a personal brand as a staff in a corporate organization, for instance? How would that look like for you?
Okay, so to start with, I think a lot of people do not understand that everybody is a brand, right? And how much input you put into your personal brand affects like a corporate brand. Where I currently work, I think one of the things that influence my stay here is how much influence my personal brand has gotten over time.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you're working in 9 to 5, you will someday look for something better, and however you are going to portray yourself to the next place is heavily dependent on your skill set and how best you're able to sell it, and that's exactly personal branding. How am I able to sell my skill sets for, the situation or the place I'm coming for is, what did I do? What are the very evident things that my influence has, brought forth? Did I count in numbers? Did I work in this particular influence to get the company to a certain level? These are very, very important things that I particularly take note of.
I do have a question. If you were going to build a personal brand for yourself now, like if you're starting from scratch, 2023, you're going to start from scratch. You want to, you have no social presence, nothing, and you are just building a personal brand. How would you go about it?
I think the first thing I have to do is I would literally be very, very carefree.
Okay.
Right? So brand building has always looked like it's so strict. You have to have the strategy, which is important, by the way, because if not, you're going to be doing rubbish.
Okay.
But I think I'll be so carefree to make people understand that it doesn't have to be textbook. It doesn't have to be serious.
Can you give me practical terms? What does that look like in practical? Like today,
I would typically be like your lifestyle, not lifestyle. Like, oh, hello guys, I woke up this morning. Nah, I genuinely cannot because.
So are you going to make videos, write things, make vlogs? What's
I would do everything that I want to do using myself as the focus. So you like the brand because it is Topaz. You like the brand because it is me. And you like the brand because you feel comfortable. When you come to Topaz, you feel like super excited, right? So whatever Topaz brings, and that's one thing I actually shared with a couple of people 2-3 days ago. If your personal brand moves from one point to another and people still follow it, community still keeps up with it, it shows that you have a very, very authentic self. And then that's it. Personal branding is your most authentic self. So even if you're in 9 to 5, even if you are a business owner, whatever you are doing, most authentic self. And that's why people who use reels to dance and do everything look like they're making the most money, because you can relate to them.
Yeah. I also think that's one of the biggest things. You know how when you start a brand and people know you for this, let's say you started a brand and people know you as someone that talks about marketing, and then 2 years ago, 2 years later, you evolve, and now you don't want to talk about marketing again. You want to travel, and I think a lot of people are always scared of, oh, I'm going to lose all that audience, or I'm going to.
I start with myself for instance. So I started out branding everything as a content creator, like a major content creator, beauty influencer.
You started a beauty influencer?
Yes, I started as a beauty influencer. I still am a brand ambassador for a Nigerian beauty brand since 2017. I started influencer marketing. So because I had gotten such kind of community that people now understood that, okay, so more people even started, oh, I want to do what she's doing, and they would speak to me, and I was like, okay, yeah, even when brands would look for nano influencers and all of that, I had such, community.
Yeah.
And I started feeling too serious, that point of adulthood, and I was like, okay, yes, and I started working with Mark Combs,
yeah,
and I started saying, okay, I had to do something that reflected where I was at the time while still enjoying the moment.
I think that's one of the biggest challenge of building a personal brand. People know you for one thing, and then
it's okay because see, I would say this very vehemently. When I started out with when I stopped skin influencing or beauty influencing and all of that, a majority of my followers or people who really would, want to see me or hear me reduced. But guess what? The truth is, the people who you're trying to speak with, they are still there. People who genuinely want to, and you're not doing it for a particular set of people. Don't get so familiar with, oh, I have this gang of people who would always comment and, put stuff on my... It goes beyond actual social media. People don't realize that. It goes beyond Instagram. It's like I walk into a room and that's the first question you ask me because you feel very comfortable asking me that question. Like you walk into my DM and say, oh, I want to have this conversation with you. That's how authentic it is because you can trust me for this conversation. So 4 or 5 years down the line, I'm still having beauty recommendations of, oh, hi, do you mind sharing this with me? How did you move from somebody who studied languages to talking about marketing communications? Because it doesn't make any sense, right? So people just want to, because they are there, they are very much existent. You walk into a place, people want to listen to you talk about this thing because they trust that whatever you have decided to put your mind to, you're already making a huge impact to that, and you already have, the authority with that. I think that's just the most basic way of explaining personal branding.
If you started an Instagram account today, what would your first 6 months of content look like?
Journaling. Yeah.
Why?
I think I mentioned to you a couple of, I just mentioned that I don't read as much as I used to, but I want people to live in the books and the things I read as much as I do. So I pick up a book and I can leave that book for the next 3 months. I am definitely one character in that book for the next 3 months in the way I speak, the way I react. And mostly why I don't like seeing movies because I'll probably act like the character for the rest of, So I would want people to experience that as much as I do or as much as I did at the time when I was reading it.
What's stopping you from doing that now?
I don't have the time to. I actually created an account for that, but I don't have the time to, and then I would definitely document a lot of memories. So one thing I noted with myself is I have like my Google Drive and I see a lot of things and I'm like, oh my God, I really appreciate this moment. And if I didn't have them, I would.
I totally agree. In the last 3 years, I've been documenting most of my life, a lot of my life experiences, the friends I have, hang out with friends, and sometimes I look back to videos of myself 2 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, look at my eyes. With the way my eyes light up, I'm like, oh my God, look.
And I ask myself, where is this person now?
It's so interesting. Especially if you go through a period where you struggled a bit, and then you be like, oh my God, this used to be me. And then you also it makes you see,
feel appreciative of the moment you are right now.
I think we are privileged to have these devices that we can use in storing memories and documenting things that our grandkids would look at and be like, man, look at this is the life.
You're going past grandkids. I feel like I am super excited every time I find a note from secondary school. And it's as vivid as that. So one of the things that I always do is I have a lot of books, generally things I write, and I always told myself I never finish them. In fact, I never go.
So is this something you would want to share if you are, when you mean journaling? Is this stuff you want to share?
Typically, I don't think there's anything I've actually ever written I don't want to share. If I write it, I think I want to share it already. And it's a way of just releasing like myself from, not like from like, oh, I'm going away from La La Land, right? Because I am a very heavily, present in myself. Like I can have a conversation with a lot of people in my head at the same time while having actual conversations. So whenever I write these things, it's like, this is what happened while that was happening. And I'm able to like, oh, so maybe this is because this is somebody I had spoken to like 3-4 years ago, and I'm still thinking about this person. I should call the person, I know how they're doing. That's a way of reminding myself.
So my last question is this: how would you monetize that?
Okay, so very funny thing, right? I don't think I've actually figured out monetization generally as a creator. And I like to be very honest about that because I've been so comfortable with 9 to 5. I have a digital product that has been sitting in my desk.
I do agree that having a 9 to 5 allows you explore your interest without having to be so focused on monetization, because when you start thinking about monetization, you tend to get lost in the art of creating. And
you start to monetize everything. Now, so in my head, I'm like, I genuinely want to, because I have conversations every week with people, because I take mentorship sessions, right? And obviously, I did not till this year realize that they were mentorship sessions. And I was like, oh my God. I tell people to monetize this, but I don't do this. So it became a very intentional thing for me to say, okay, hey, hello, you do not have access to me as much as you do now. So if you want to have access to me, this is your option to. But the fear of monetization has always been, will they? But something I have recently come to understanding is, you know what, you don't lose. If they don't buy it, if they don't jump on it, you do not lose. So as a creator, I'm learning to monetize, and even terribly so, monetize everything. So you want my time? Let's do this.
So you would like to monetize stuff, right?
Yeah, I genuinely would want to monetize like a lot of things, because I feel like if you don't monetize, it's lack of self-respect. Because so you're cheap.
Is it? What if you just enjoy the process of sharing?
That's the problem. You enjoy it. But if you note that every single moment is different, every single conversation you have with people is different, and how you got that information is because you took your time and your pain to actually go through it. You did not just come up with your video editing skills, for instance. You did not just wake up one day and it came onto you, right? If you're going to teach somebody that even more intentionally, you would want to make sure that the person pays. And let's be very, very honest with ourselves. If you do not pay for something, you will not value it. Okay, so if you want to value it as much as I do, or if I want to understand how much value you see in me, then pay me. That's why a brand is going to pay you to do something. However they pay you, and if they decide to say, oh, is it not just, that's when you realize the brand doesn't actually value you. And that's how you come about, is it not just, oh, so you don't really value me. That's exactly what people do. So I want to create a course, or I want to do a hangout. In fact, there was a time when I was like, why are people actually paying for people to hang out with them? It doesn't make any sense to me, because I enjoy conversations. But imagine we had to monetize this conversation that we're having today, like, generally.
So I get that. So one of the things I've learned in the last 1 year is that access and community is a big deal. There are people you would pay to have access to. So it's about building yourself in a way that people want to pay to have access to you. Like literally, anyone would pay to sit with Tony Olumelu, for instance.
I will not pay. Genuinely. Because
Some
you don't
people,
have the same interest.
No, I'm just like, it's not you, but people who are in this space that he would easily mentor. It's like you are saying with people who come to you for
fair
mentorship,
enough.
they would easily want to pay for it. So, final question is, what is top two advice you would give someone who is trying to build a personal brand in a company?
Two things I would say is document your process. First thing, that's the first thing. Document your process. And this is from me, who learned the hard way. You see these appraisals people ask for. If you're in a standard 9 to 5, you would have to do appraisals if you want a salary increase or whatever. See that part of appraisals? By the time you realize the point where you gave a tagline that worked for a couple of months, you will know how important it is. And you know that, okay, I should take value in everything, because documenting makes you take value in yourself. So you pick it up a couple of weeks after and you're like, oh, I did that. Even with, and marketing has taught me that numbers actually do matter. So even with 1%, that 1% increase is it's coming from you. If that tagline wasn't there, you probably wouldn't have gotten that increase. So document your process. And another thing for people who are, in 9 to 5 looking to build a personal brand, leave the corporate shenanigans and be your authentic self. Don't get drowned in, sir, ma, and everything. Because guess what? People do not relate with SARs and MAs. If you see a SAR, you are instantly intimidated. You see a MA, you're like, okay, will they accept me? Be your most authentic self, such that even if you wanted to switch to a less rigid industry, you will do so well. Understand that you're a human being, and you want to feel as a human being. You don't want to feel like a robot. So having to remove the whole corporatiness, if there's a word like that, it makes you more human and makes you more approachable, and you get to reach the target audience you're looking for. So most authentic self and document your process.
All right, Esther, thank you so much for this conversation. It was nice to have this conversation. I know we planned about talking about this for a while, and it didn't happen, but I really appreciate you coming around for this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this conversation. I am going to leave a link in the description to Esther's Instagram and LinkedIn profile. You can check her out. She has an amazing brand and she's doing amazing stuff with storytelling. So if you like this video, please leave a like and share it with someone, or hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. All right, I'll see you in another video. Bye.